How I found out about the 2-hour house. I'm at Texas Motor Speedway with Miles Brosing and Robert Lloyd and all them. And I'm walking through the motorhomes and drinking my Coors Light. And I'm watching Steve show his son, what his son had done, Brian Conaway. And when they were showing the 3-minute video. And I said, play that again. And I watched it 2 or 3 times and I went, man, that could be one of the best leadership books of all time. They said, what do you mean? They said, well, when people say teamwork, collaboration, efficiency, I said, you could see it in that story. I mean, there's no way you can do it with it. So to get 579 volunteers to work together, to build a 2,300 square foot house to exceed code, how did they convince you to do it? And when you first got approached, what were you thinking? And what part did you play in the 2-hour house?
So we were a contractor for Conaway Homes at that time and members of the Builders Association. And I knew Brian personally also and heard him talking about it. And, of course, told him there's no way. And my biggest deal was always the concrete. You're not going to find a concrete contractor that can get anything to cure that quick. How are you going to pull that off? And then, just simply tape and bed and paint and everything involved in building a house, how are you going to do that in that kind of time frame? Well, the HVAC portion, which is what we were responsible for, in a normal application is a 3-day deal. I mean, it's engineering, design, it's running the ductwork, setting the equipment, then coming back when we have permanent power and starting it up. So I could do it. I knew that we could do it, but I didn't know how he was going to pull it off logistically with everyone.
Well, let's think about that. I mean, when he said how much time you had to do it, what is the normal way of doing it, and how did you guys come up with a better way?
So the normal way is the 3-day process. What we came up with was we assembled a lot of things on the side. We did all the ductwork on the side and had it all bundled up in these. Now that I'm thinking about it, we made special holders for the duct, and then we just divided it up into segments about who was going to do what. So one guy was going to hang the equipment, one guy was going to run refrigerant lines, one guy was going to duct it, and then we got a group together of ETR employees and knocked it out.
Now, let's just say you had doubt and you want to know how in the hell we're going to do
severe.
that. Okay, so you had doubt, and I'm sure people on your team had doubt. When you started to approach people to tell them what you were going to do on it, how did you handle it?
Ultimately, I just commanded it. I just said, hey, we're going to be here on Saturday, and this is what we're going to do. And the guys got behind it, though, when they saw the publicity and heard other contractors talking about it. And so everybody was happy to do it.
Yeah, what amazes me is when someone comes up to you and says, hey, we're going to build a 2,300 square foot house, and we're going to build it in less than 3 hours. And you go, okay, what kind of house? And you find out you can do the interior doors and baseboards, the HVAC system, the air conditioning, the heating, cooling system, the interior doors, baseboards, I mentioned that, your countertops, your kitchen cabinets, your bathroom fixtures. I hadn't even talked about ceilings. We haven't even talked about shingling the roof. Yeah. And the guy wants to do it in 3 hours. So what did you learn from that experience that you related it to your business and growing forward?
I guess thinking back 20 years, it probably would have been that teamwork can accomplish something if it's well organized. Because if you think about it, the HVAC portion, the way that Brian assembled the house was kind of a roof over here and then the walls. And so we have something in each one of those components. I have something in the attic. I have control wire in the walls. I have refrigerant lines in the walls. I have grills that I have to put on when the paint guy's done, thermostat that we have to put on last. So we had something in every aspect of the way the home was put together. And my guys did it. They came together and they were assigned a task and they knocked it out. And
here's a cool thing. They got the model right here.
That's what I was like.
And then you got the roof. And you're talking about work that you had to do in here, right?
Yeah.
And then go ahead. Tell me what your experience. I mean, just swinging it around to have it
Yeah,
exactly.
so all the ductwork was put in while that was on the ground, while the roof component was on the ground. And then we went in and did the other components of the HVAC and the walls and then stuck with them and finished it.
How many guys did you have on your team?
I'm shooting from the hip now after all this time, but I imagine around 15.
15, and then I guess the guys that you worked with, tell me about the practice house. I mean, when you went through the practice house, what were you thinking then and then coming back to it? Or did you ever even get to your part?
Yeah, I don't know that we got there with the practice house. We were just on the final product. I was trying to think. I don't know that anything really went wrong with the way that we had it segmented out and the way that we did it. Everybody worked together. I do remember that. I remember being underneath there with them and trying to coordinate, and because we didn't want to be, that was the other thing that was neat. We didn't want to be the trade that held anything up. So that pressure made them act also. I'll tell you the neatest thing about it, after we were done and everything was started up, we never had a callback. So not only did we do the HVAC portion in X amount of time, I'm not sure what that was nowadays, but it was nothing. I think like 5 to 7 minutes, maybe 10. But I never had a callback.
You know what's weird about that is the other day they were talking about, Brian mentioned that there was not a callback. That house was actually built and exceeded code better than the houses that were built. Yeah. That's pretty amazing. I mean,
it's interesting.
It is. And they had the inspectors involved with the planning process. Were they involved in your planning process too?
Yeah,
walk through, would they participate in your meetings and walk?
No, they didn't do that, but they inspected the house just like they would if it were normal. So rough-in inspection, final inspection, startup, they went through the whole process.
Did you do anything different, like more inside out or outside in? Is there anything
No, it was all typical. I think the big thing was having it all assembled first. You know, when we do a house on a normal day, people are handing up things through the attic. So you have a guy on the ground and you have 2 guys in the attic typically to rough one in. And on that day, we just assembled it all and took it up in one kind of fail motion. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea in a normal application. You just don't ever have time to coordinate like we did with this.
Yeah. Is there any, like if you were, you got kids?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. How many?
4.
How old are they now? So, how old are they?
13, 18, 21, 24.
Yeah, so looking back at the 2-hour house, if you were going to say how that applied to your personal life, what would you say? What would you say to them that you would like them to learn from that experience?
You know, I'd have to think about that. I remember my wife was there, and one of our children was, not very old at the time, so they may actually remember it, remember the experience, but I'm not sure how that's applied since then. They're kind of hard to corral, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, is when you guys were having your meetings with the different teams, what were they like? I mean, because you had your part.
Yeah.
They
were well organized, and Brian had everything choreographed, maybe is a good way to put it. So he knew what trades he wanted where, and then we would have some input on, hey, that won't work. The plumber will be in our way. Or the electrician needs to get to me after I'm done. He can't go first. And they all work together. Yeah,
it's the more I tear into it, we're human creatures of the eye, and we don't believe anything till we see it.
True.
And even when I mention 2,300 square foot house in less than 3 hours, I get this look, and I go, "What are you thinking right now?" And they go, "Crappy house, can't be done." And so I always say, "Hey, how many other areas of your life are you setting limits for yourself without realizing you're doing it?" Then I'll show the video. And it changes the whole paradigm of people. It's really amazing.
Well, now that we've talked about it, I'll probably use it more like that.
Yeah, because when you show it, it's amazing how the ideas will flow.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're in a box. Some of us in a bigger box or whatever box we are. We only know what we know. But when you start to see stuff like this, I've seen like Rotary. I went to one meeting and just talked about the 2-hour house, and they were talking about raising $15,000, and by the time I got through telling the whole story, they were wanting to raise $150,000, and they were more excited about that than they were the $15,000. It's weird that when you work together, how you leverage each other's unique abilities, and we all have strengths and weaknesses, even in an organization. It's amazing what you could do together. I mean, this is a perfect example.
True, that's a good idea.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's so with the HVAC, did you do anything different on how you did things prior to 2-hour house to what you implemented after that experience?
We didn't necessarily because of that, but I think it probably gave us ideas that helped us move forward. Yeah.
So we got teamwork. What I found is when you go show your team the video, the 3-minute video, and say, okay, what else can we do? It's amazing how the ideas do flow. So I don't think that people realize. I think you realize what you've done, but when you look back at it, it is amazing.
At the time, that I think about it, at the time, I think we were more proud of Brian and his group and that they pulled off the entire project versus what we just did. I know my guys were happy that they did it. Now that I think about it, we had to vent exhaust fans. We had a couple other components that I didn't remember, but my guys were proud, but I think everybody was more proud that the entire project got pulled off.
I think when you mention entire project too, when you have everybody pulling the same way towards a defined goal, it is pretty amazing how people unite and make that happen. Sometimes we don't see that. Even the girl at the front desk is just as important as everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, our first clients is the people that work with us.
We've been involved in some massive HVAC projects since then, and heavily engineered and heavily designed and just complete chaos. And so maybe something out of this 2-hour house and a grassroots kind of coordination effort from key folks at the inception had a lot to do with how it went. In other words, we weren't trying to follow a blueprint from an engineer or an architect and meet spec and meet all kinds of hubbub that you deal with in the commercial world. All of the trades got out there individually and knocked this out and did a great job. So,
can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Please answer, Jose. Forget that I ask it. You earlier said it took 3 days to do what you normally do.
it did.
How long did you get in the 2-hour house?
I think if I remember correctly, it was about 7 to 10 minutes, maybe.
So you had to do something different.
We assembled everything on the ground and pulled it up.
Yeah. So he goes and he's. You get this. I'm kind of piecing it together. You tell me because you were one part of it, a very important part. Every part was important because you wouldn't have broke the record. So nobody wanted to let each other down. That's a pretty cool example. Number one. Number two, when you talk about doing something different, when you engage and the guy gives you Brian gives you a timeline when you have to accomplish that goal. He didn't tell you how to do what you needed to do.
No, we went back and developed our own plan for that.
And drove your whole process and the whole
and we
thing.
had to stop. Now the thing about it, we had a stopwatch, and we would say, you 5 guys have 4 minutes to assemble this and pull the boots up and attach them and get the unit in the attic. You have 2 minutes to run the refrigerant lines. You have 2 minutes to run the exhaust vent. Yeah, we broke it up.
And when you broke it up, what did you? It became fun.
Yeah.
Did they have fun? Trying to
did.
figure out a way. And
I think they did.
have you noticed how when we all get challenged and we got a deadline, the way we study, the way we test, the way we hit our goals or whatever the goals are, some people wait till the last minute.
True.
So if you put those deadlines early, it's amazing what
No, we worked on this. We practiced.
So about a year and a half?
No, I think we hit it hard like probably 2 months before the deadline and really got it pinpointed by then.
Let's see. So you got the HVAC, and what your biggest concern was the concrete to dry in 22 minutes. That was your immediate.
That was
thought?
our immediate concern over the whole project. Yeah, we didn't think they were going to be able
Did
to
he
pull
come
that
to
off.
you with a plan already laid out and said you got 10 minutes, but this is how we're going to do it, or did?
We do the HVAC plan internally, but he just came with us with what we had to get done.
Did he explain to you that he saw a house that was being built in 3 hours and 44 minutes, 59 seconds?
The house before?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
So he showed it to y'all where you can at least see that vision.
Yeah.
And then figure out how you can beat that record.
Yeah.
Anything else that you would want to give if you employees, new leaders coming in? Anything you want to share that from that experience, what you think is a big nugget to you that you would like to share?
I think what you're doing now. So it has been 20 years. It did kind of fall behind the wayside, but it was quite an accomplishment. So I think after today, we're going to integrate it more. Since then, we've grown to 3 locations, 115 employees. We're the largest HVAC contractor in East Texas. And we have a kind of intro to ETR video that everybody watches as a new hire. I'm going to go back and integrate this into that video.
Yeah, and and just as an exercise, even our team here, what's a house got to relate to planning? I look at the house as the end result. What do you want your house to look like, which is your life? What do you want your business to look like, which is your business? What do you want your community to look like, and then work backwards. And it seems like working backwards to understand what the end in mind and work backwards to where you're at today, you can accomplish anything. when your visions are clear, your decisions are easy. It's kind of
Interesting.
wild, and it's a house analogy, and it's just but you had talked about processes, and I think that you said I may go back and have everybody look at this. There is a certain magic behind it. It goes to show that the human spirit is alive and well when you make the game big enough, and it's pretty amazing that
It was Conway's enthusiasm that drove it. And just, this is going to happen. And if you know Brian, then you know that when he gets to that frame of mind, then you can start to envision what he's seeing. And so I think it was his enthusiasm that drove us all.
Yeah, have you guys gotten together yet? In the last 10 years, 15 years, everybody just went off and
They did.
kind of. And look at you, you got 150 employees, you're making things happen, and sometimes we take it for granted that we went through that experience, but hopefully that experience had an impact on your life, I would think.
Maybe so.
You know, and then of course personal life, you got 4 kids, so you got a full-time job. There's no doubt about it. Anything you want to add? Any other questions you think? He kind of covered it, you know.
I think we're good. Thanks for letting me jump in every
No, that's
sure.
okay, because you can't think of all the questions to ask. And then he's going to help. You know, we don't. All I know is I wanted 20 of us to tell the story, and I'm just telling business principles on how what has to happen to pull that off. And you guys just went ahead and went full steam ahead, and there's not a lot of people to take on a project like this. Nobody got paid.
Nobody got paid.
That's what I mean.
And it was interesting. Now that I think back, the Builders Association asked other HVAC contractors to chip in with us, and that didn't happen. So we took it on. We took it on our own and knocked it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a lot to be proud of. I mean, you can take it for granted. 20 years has already gone by, but I'm telling you, it's.
And the big thing, Jose, is there were no callbacks.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Matter of fact, that's funny. You said Bryant said the only thing was one leak in the garage, and it was the washer and dryer. So you're talking about no callbacks all the way through. So that's a
Callbacks
a big
are
deal.
the killer in the service industry, and knocking one out like that and not having any issues after it was really something.